Good morning, everybody. Aloha. Welcome to Just Talking page 66. Hope you guys had a good Easter. I hope you found a lot of eggs. You know, yesterday we were at the dialysis center with my wife for a checkup. And the girl who drew um, her blood, Mika, anyway, she was asking me, how come we got eggs at Easter? And that kind of falls with what we're going to talk about today, because today we're going to cook. I'm going to talk to you about recipe, or recipes, because everyone has their own recipe. But anyway, she is asking me, what's the connection with eggs and Easter? So I told her, okay, she went to a parochial school, right? I said, okay, what's Easter all about? And she said, oh, that's about Jesus Christ and his, resurrection. He rose from the dead on Easter. I said, well, okay, that's symbolic of new life. He died his regular life and he started a new life of forever with God. His death started our living. See the balance again, right? Okay. I said, so it's from a pagan ritual of the celebration of spring or new life. Because during the winter, well, in temperate zones, not in Hawaii, but in temperate zones, the trees, everything dies. Everything, you get all white. It's snow. Snow melts, new life springs up. You catch it? Spring. Okay. And so the eggs represent new life. What's in the egg? One chicken. Well, if it's a chicken egg. But what's in the egg? The egg is new life. And from that egg springs new life. That's how come we got eggs. And it's also the only day in the year that rabbits lay eggs. Normally mammals give birth to live young, but that's all right. But I thought, yeah, that's why. She goes, oh. So yeah. So anyway, happy Easter to everybody. Hope you found a lot of eggs. And or the ham. I don't know where I read this. I don't know how true it is, but they said that ancient Romans would slaughter an animal at the beach. I guess they're by the beach, and they bury the meat in the sand. And the salt water. The salt water would cure the meat. I don't know how true that is, but that makes sense, because salt does cure. So if you have it buried in a controlled temperature with salt, and then you dig it up, it's cured. It's cured meat. They do that with their ham legs, but they do it dry, open dry. They call it pancetta, prosciutto. All this. That's all dried meats. Yeah. And so there might be something to that. I don't know. That's what I heard, or I've read. I think I heard, because I don't like to read. I know. Yeah, I never liked to read. Give me the give me the illustrated classics. Yeah, those are good. That's the way I am. But anyway, today we're going to talk about recipe. And I use the word as a synonym, right? Okay, it means something else. Your recipe is how you take your your experiences. Each experience you have is an ingredient, and it's how you use it and how you put it together. And at the end of your life, you get your finished dish. Everyone has his own dish. It's his own way. We all walk our same paths. And yes, this is philosophical, but it's very true. See, I don't want to tell you how to do things. I give you the technique, well, not technique, but what's there. You choose your own, you know, like what happened in Iran. We lost two planes. Why? Because they're stupid. They get arrogant. They're arrogant. They think they own the skies. Well, yeah, against other planes, but not against missiles. They still got the Iranians still got their handheld missiles from the Russians, but they send in these low and they're relatively low flying planes, the warthogs and everything. That's for micromanaging. That's for taking out particular. That's a cheap way. Relative. Okay, that's another relative term. It's a cheap way of taking out a small target. You can have laser guided missiles, and which is what they should do. But they're impatient and they're arrogant. They think they can go in there and just pick. And guess what? Ta-da! Surprise! These guys still ain't ready to give up. They're like how the Japanese were in World War II. You know, Truman said. I mean, Truman's advisors, the military advisors said, the Japanese gonna fight to the death because they saw what they did in Okinawa. You know, these guys, these Japanese soldiers fought to the death, and they said you can figure on the people being kind of the same way. You know, if the emperor tells you give it up for your country, don't give it up for their country. And so they were looking at losing upwards of 50,000 more soldiers. And Truman just said, nope, we're going to just tell them, come to you guys are beaten already. And then they nuked them. And then that nuking broke the back of the Japanese. Finally, they said, okay, we give up. Well, you can't well, you can. They don't want to nuke Iranian because they still got oil and stuff that they need. I guess we got bombs that, will kind of do the same thing, but then that's the thing, see. America wants to do this because they went, they want to stop the building of nuclear weapons, right? And then, but yet, you still get these fanatical leaders that are going to just redo it again. So you got to get rid of the fanatical leaders. Now the fanatical leaders know that, and they're going to hide within the normal people. So you're going to have to wipe out the normal people, but you can't do that because that's aggression. You see the catch-22 and what they're up against. I would not want that job. You cannot pay me. There ain't enough coronas in the world, baby. There's not enough money in the world. No. And the coronas is just one of my friends, Brian. His, yeah, this is real mean, but he looked at a girl and he says, no, there's not enough corona in the world. So, yeah. But yeah, that's the problem. They got arrogant. No, just keep doing what you're doing. It's gonna take. And the thing is, Trump told everybody, take 4 to 6 weeks. We have this done, and now they're saying, well, you said 4 to 6 weeks. Well, he was stupid. Okay, he made a mistake. You just say it's over when the fat lady sings and she ain't sung yet. That's all. That's all it is. He not lying. She ain't sung yet, but we still kicking him. So he wants it done faster. So okay, let's put let's take all these small ones out. It is a formidable task. But anyway, let's get back to recipe. So yeah, the recipe is whatever you put, all your experiences, everything that you experience goes into who you are. That's everybody has their own, supposed to have their own choice in life. Even the profession that you chose. When you chose it, well, maybe your dad was. Maybe like that policeman that gave me a speeding tag 5 years ago. His dad was a police officer. And his dad, I guess, impressed him enough so that he followed his dad's way and went into the police department. My other friend, his daughter is a police officer. So that's good because the parents, they impressed the kids so much by the job they did that the kids went into that profession. I think that was beautiful. That's why when that officer told me about, I said, "Hey, you so and so's, who are you to so and so?" And he goes, "Oh, that's my dad." So he wanted to stop the tag. I said, "No, no, 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 no. You write the tag." "What? You write the tag?" "Oh, but," and then he goes, "But uncle." I said, "No, I was speeding. You caught me 30 and a 25. That is speeding. I know. I understand. I know. And I can take it to court and fight it, but I won't, because after 50 years of driving, I'm finally getting cited for speeding. I have been clocked at 117 and a 55, okay? And I wasn't even arrested, although Ted wanted to arrest me. I just put I had an 88 Mercury Cougar, and I put a body kit on it. I was one of the first to use a full-size car with a body kit. I mean, all the kids were doing with their mini cars. Well, not mini cars, but their compact cars. Mine was a full-size Mercury Cougar XR7. Yeah. And I put on body kit, we blocked, but it didn't come with instructions. This body kit just came from the mainland with no instructions. So I was at a body shop, my friend's body shop. So he put them on. He says, no more instructions and no more brackets for mounting. So I did what I thought was right. So I said, okay, let's test it out. And how you going to test it out? Take it on the road at 2 o'clock in the morning and just blast it. So I had come up to a part of the freeway where if you guys understand what the roadway, it's a reverse camber turn. So in other words, normally when you make a turn in the road, the left lanes, they'll go up a little. And that's to, like Daytona, NASCAR racing. You notice the turns are banked. Well, that's for a purpose. That's for keep the cars on the road. You get a force into the asphalt, the track, to to counteract the centrifugal force that wants to take you off the track. So it's like it's so many degrees. Well, roadways usually are right there on the freeway. It goes the other way. You go toward the middle street, and the way I know this is because when I used to help my friend help my friend bring in his milk from his dairy, we're pulling a 9,000 gallon tanker, but usually only about 6,500 gallons of milk. Now it's not like a fuel tank. Okay, a fuel truck, you know those long fuel trucks? They have cells. They have individual cells in there. And each cell can take only so much. So they fill up each cell differently. Okay? In a full tanker, you get 9,000, you get all this room, and then you only get 6,500 of milk. So you got all that space on the top times the length of the tanker. And so the thing sloshes. So when you go against a reverse camber, you feel the slosh. So you slow down. The slower you go, the less centrifugal force, the less force you're gonna get pulling you toward the medial strip. That's just drive theory, okay? But anyway, so so I brought the milk in. I drove in it for him. And then he told me, hey, you got to slow down, coming in. Because, like, that truck was on dog. I mean, you got to, what they call run the hills. As much speed as you can, because when you're going up, the thing doesn't have enough power to pull it up at that speed. So you may hit the bottom at 65. You can hit the top of that hill at 40. Stuff like that, okay? So we come into that turn. He said, hey, you got to go down because it's reverse camber. So I knew exactly. I start downshifting. I'm in the right lane, in the slow lane. And so, I hit that turn at about 40. Although it's 50, 55, 40. And you hit it and, you feel the slosh. But because the speed is manageable, she'll just take the turn, no problem. I mean, I've seen some trucks just whipping through, and I don't know if they don't know or if they really have confidence in their truck. But anyway, I knew that was a reverse camber turn. So I'm coming down at about, I don't know, I was pegged. I mean, my speedometer was pegged. So I slacked off and I hit the turn. I was doing about 119. And guess who's under the... This is at 2:30 in the morning now. What Ted was doing out with a speed gun. But yeah. And so anyway, getting back to, John, well, the police officer that gave me the tag, I told him, no, you give me the tag. And that's the only speeding tag I've ever had in my life. And I told him, what you're doing, I love, because your dad impressed you so much, you became a police officer. And when you took that job, you swore to enforce the laws. You do your duty. Don't worry about Uncle. I'm glad to take the tag. You write the tag. If not, I'll go report you in the morning. So he laughed and he wrote the tag. And he goes, sorry. I said, don't ever apologize for doing your job. Did your job very well, very good. And it's good to see you. And tell your dad I said hi, And he goes, okay. I mean, it was an $84 tag. He said, it's $84. I said, no, don't worry about it. And he felt bad. But that's what his assignment was. He had a complaint on that road. It goes right next to McKinley High School. And they had complaints that, well, they put humps on the road since then. But they had complaints of guys speeding. And people have been, one girl got killed on the other road. So he was there shooting gun, and his orders are anything above the posted speed limit will be cited, that's illegal. See, people think, oh no, I get 5 miles over. No, you don't. The posted speed, it said speed limit. And I tell people, if I sit you in a chair, okay, and I tell you, you get 20 pushes. So all you can do, you can push 20 pushes. On the 21st push, that gun facing you will go off. How many times you can push the button? If it says limit 20 pushes, and there's a counter right there, and you see 18. And then, are you going to push the button for 19? Yeah. You push the button for 20? Okay. You can push for 21? Why? Because that's the limit. Same thing. It says speed limit. That means that's the max you can go. That's the max. But the way our laws are written, above the max is speeding, below the posted speed limit is impeding. So if it says speed limit 25 and you go 24, you can get tagged for that too. But on certain parts of the freeway, it says speed limit 50, minimum 40. So you have a speed range. If you're within that range, you got no problem. And that's how it's supposed to be. Especially like, stop and go traffic. Everybody impeding legally. But yeah, that's what they call chicken shit. But anyway, going back to recipes. And everything we do in life is an ingredient. Think about it. And the recipe is how we put it together. What do you do with your ingredients? How do you put it together? You watch TV Food Network. Oh, I swear, these judges, I can't taste the seasoning. The guy only put salt. When I eat a dish, I want to taste the dish. If it's a steak, I want to taste that beef. If it's a pork roast, I want to taste the pork. If it's the fish, I want to taste the fish. That's why I don't like freshwater fish. I tried catfish, and it's only as good as the tartar sauce that's on it. Even fish and chips, with the cod and everything, those fishes are good for sauces. They're good for, yeah. If the fish doesn't have flavor, it's a good plate for your sauce. It gives your sauce out. If you have very little, like your beef, beef broccoli, you get the beefy flavor, but the more you have the sauce, then you taste the sauce. But these judges are tasting and they say, I can't taste the seasoning. What can you taste the whole dish? You know what I mean? If you use ingredients, main ingredients that don't have much flavor, don't expect a lot of flavor. Like chocolate has a flavor. You use chocolate, you taste the chocolate. Okay. Then they add it with a little salt. Well, I can't taste the salt. Then just sprinkle some on. It's that's why I would never go on those shows. I like the TV Food Network. My wife watches it, but in the past few years I haven't watched it because it's all competitions. I'll watch those diners, drive-ins, and dives because they go to certain places. But even those certain places, oh, I put this, put this, put this, put this, and then I simmer it for 34 hours. Huh? Okay, no. Yeah. But it's good to see the different, techniques that people use. And then you just incorporate that into your cooking. I like that show. But all these competitions, what you can cook in 20 minutes. Well, I don't like to cook in 20 minutes because the flavors cannot really come out in 20 minutes. You can't really bring flavors out. So if you're going to do that, they're going to have to taste the raw flavors of each ingredient, which they don't want either. So they say there's not enough seasoning. Their palate is that shows me their palate is not that sharp. Or they ask the guy makes fresh pasta, and they go, it's not al dente enough. Well, fresh pasta, you cannot get it al dente. It is not dried. It's fresh. Fresh pasta will taste spongy to the tooth. It will not be al dente because it's fresh. Yeah, the quality of these chefs are really there. But yeah, so your quality of life is what you make it. It's your choice. It's your recipe. You catch what I mean? And you gotta really, we don't even think about it. I haven't thought about it, but now that I look back, now that I'm a little bit far away from the start than the rest, I can look back and I can see, oh, this happened, this happened, this happened, this happened. I went that way, I went that. And it's really, really fascinating to see what's happening. And then, like what's happening in the U.S. And they said every 250 to 300 years, the government goes, well, look what's happening. And it's sad. It is sad, but it's fascinating because it's happened before and it's happening again. And Trump is going to try, but you know, everybody and his brother is against him. Why? Because they are history. And Trump is the exception. But even though a lot of Americans are behind him, we pussies. We don't have the balls to actually come out and say it. We let the Democrats do what they do. Like there was this one girl. Well, if MAGA supporters are so strong and so many, why weren't they protesting against us? What? You guys are protesting MAGA. We are the MAGA. You're protesting against us. We don't protest against you. You know. Does she think with that brain? Stuff like that. But we're gonna be pushed only so far, and either we're gonna draw the line or we're gonna just let them take us over. The new the media is really trying really hard to get everybody going over, and you gotta vote Democrat because the Republicans are done already. Everything's done. It's a done deal. The Democrats are gonna take over everything again. They're really trying to sell it. They're really trying to sell it, like Ozempic. They're gonna find out get some problems with that sucker because every time you do one thing to your body, get one opposite effect. It doesn't come out right away. It takes time, but when it shows its angry head, it's gonna be kind of bad. I think a lot of these celebrities they're losing weight. How they losing weight? They ain't working out. They don't go to the gym. No, they're doing it chemically. I've tried. I've gained and lost over tons, and the chemical no work. The only work though, what works is you gotta work it off. And when you get two bum legs like I got, it's really hard. Yeah, but that's another recipe, right? Yeah, and if you attach this to life, you'll see, and try and get balance. Right? Remember balance in your recipes, your flavor. You want your flavors to be balanced. If you got salty, you get spicy. You get sweet, you get sour. You get, all balanced. But if you put them all together, it comes out so good. And not all at once. Sometimes you eat dessert first, right? Right. You don't have to eat your soup, and you don't need soup every time. Although my wife, but that's all right. But she's doing good, by the way. Yeah, at our stuff, we were really very impressed by her numbers. We got a little infection in her peritoneal area, and that's because of her stupidity. She laxed, and I saw. I said, "What are you doing?" She goes, "What?" I said, "Why are you touching over there?" She goes, "Well, it's not the tip." I said, "That whole thing is the tip." Well, I didn't know. You get complacent. Everybody gets complacent. So and then she starts to try to backpack. Right? I tell them, "Don't lie, don't lie." And she looks, and she's very angry because they think that by lying, they're not gonna get scolding. But then when they're asked to what they did, they forget their lies, and they say something that totally didn't. See, that's the thing. If you say the truth, it's gonna come out the same every time. But when you lie and they ask you later on, "Oh, what you did over here?" I went to the store. Yeah, but you said that you stayed home. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. I stayed home that night. You know. But if I shot the MFR. Sucker came up and I shot him. But they're gonna say, "Yes, I plead guilty." I mean, defense. Why do these people caught in the act plead not guilty? You know, I don't understand that. If you're guilty, you're guilty. Take the responsibility. That's why. You get these defense lawyers that they gotta have a job, right? Say, no, 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 you're gonna plead, not guilty, and we're gonna go with your defense, even though the defense lawyer knows his sucker is guilty of sin. Yeah, I've known a couple. In fact, I told one, I don't want your money because your money dirty. Yeah. And it was. He died. He was on the top, and he ended up passing away from cocaine. Him and his wife. He had a $40 million home in Kahala, and it just went to shit. Excuse me, went to crap, and he died penniless because of his the snow habit. He's a snowman. But anyway, yeah. So try and find your right recipe. No, there is no one fits all. Everybody has their own. But if you know what you're looking for, you know what you want, then you just got to learn how to get it, how to put it together, and how to make your dish. And at the end, when you stand in front of the man, TV Food Network, right? He won't say, "Oh, it needs more seasoning." I hope. But he'll say, "Good job, good job. I like this." Like Forge the Fire, it will cut. But anyway, I hope you guys have a great week. I don't know what's happening next week, but go out, go cook. Yeah, cook up. I made oven baked Kahlua pig, and I got the Kahlua pig, and I got like 5 pounds of spinach, fresh baby spinach from Sam's Club, and I mixed them together. Hey, not bad. Needed a little bit more salt. That's all. So I just added a little more seasoning, right? Because that's all we get, salt. But that's all we use. I only use salt for my kind, for my Kahlua pig. But yeah, and my wife goes, "Oh, this tastes good." So I did good. But until next week, for number 67. I don't know what it's going to be, but a hui ho, malama pono. And from me to you, all my best, all my love, and all my aloha. Bye bye. See you next week.